Kyiv the whole week, potentially. So it's been a surprise and also a surprise to experience what a vibrant city Kyiv is, how beautiful it is. Volta and I discovered that we both watched this Yale course on Ukraine and making up modern Ukraine, taught by Timothy Snyder last fall. That's on YouTube for anyone. And it's like 24 lectures, and that's the source of most of what I know about Ukraine. But it was an incredible class. So that's why I know something about the Dnieper River and the way it divides Ukraine, east and west, and some of the history. So when we were there, I was really picturing in my mind the Viking ships coming down. I mean, the Dnieper was how the Vikings got from the Baltic Sea to the Mediterranean. That Kyiv was the center of the Viking Empire in the Viking Age, the 1100s, 1200s, 2 centuries or so. And of course, I'd never even heard of the Dnieper River, or I mean, so for me, it was a little bit of a pilgrimage to go there and feel like, okay, now I sort of can picture. But also knowing that as it flows down, it's filled with blood from this war. And all the different people who used to live in Ukraine who were killed, driven out over periods of time. So I had this sort of feeling of deep time a little bit from being there. And I also was very touched by that young woman who came by and clearly recognized what we were doing, because she had her yoga mat and set up not far from us. Probably I was imagining that she was feeling not so alone, to be able to practice with others in this place. I'm really glad we went. I'm wondering if maybe we should consider doing that one more time to practice in Maidan Square or something. But I'm glad we went.
So it was quite invigorating for us to go and have that walk. But I suggest to now concentrate more, because the body will give us more challenge. But again, the mind will let us be more quiet and quiet, because the session is just for that, to experience the source of our mind. We do training, and we came here for this session. So I suggest to continue uh, the outside practice after we finish session, when there is this last day, that we can go outside and share our energy that we gather here drop by drop in those all 7 days of giving ourselves best to not lose any drop of our concentration to continue on our practice.
Mhm. Maybe this cooking is German. Somehow all summarized in getting back to an understanding of and experiencing the impermanence and constant change in things around, in me, around me, in the world. A couple interesting things happened in my mind on the way there. One was when we almost reached the park, the bank of the river. There was a person passing by wearing a hoodie and a hood over the head and a stick, and the face was covered with some clothes, which is something unusual that you don't see often. And I don't know the conditions of that particular person. Could be some disease, or I don't know, it's called something like vertigo, or that gets your skin. Mm. And it reminded me of a person that lived in a small town where I grew up, where I was growing up when I was from 3 to 10 years old. The person was riding a bike and also was covering the face and the arms. Much later, we were explained by our parents, who were doctors at that time, that this person has this condition, and as it's not a big town, some people know who he is, but most people they don't, because he lives very what's the word, like he's on his own. Solitude, yeah. He's all alone all the time. I don't know I never found out his story. Did he ever had a family before? But he lived somewhere out of the town, and he rode the bike to buy some food, whatever he needed. And I remember that our first reactions as kids, as it looks spooky, as it looks unusual, and there's always, I don't know how was your childhood, but I remember
my childhood and being around kids. Kids can be very cruel. My memories about childhood is not that kids are open and sane beings. No, they can be very cruel because they didn't learn yet how to care for others. And there was always in the company of my childhood, there was always someone who would say something inappropriate. Someone who would say, have a story about, say, this person, for example, demonizing this person. And I remember how easy it was to fall into believing it and sharing those views. Until later, our parents explained it to us, and maybe it was one of the rarest first moments that some kind of empathy kicks in my childhood mind. So meeting this person today reminded me how easy it is for us to demonize someone just because we don't know who they are, what's their story, just because something looks strange or unfamiliar or something we feel frightened about. And yeah, we do it so naturally and so easy. I have those judgments often. And it's a great reminder to look deeper into myself and in others until before I have any kind of judgment. And at the river, when we sat, the view was beautiful. I was happy to be with you guys there because the last time I was around that bridge was the first couple of weeks of the war, and there was no transportation. There was not many people in the street. Most of the people left, so I was traveling to the other bank of the river to pick up some stuff for a friend who left, and she asked to pick up some of her stuff. I went there by taxi, but I couldn't get a taxi on the way back because of airstrike alerts and the prices went skyrocketed. So I decided to walk, and I walked all the way back home. During airstrike alerts, there were military on the bridge. It was closed, and municipality transport was blocking. They just brought a lot of buses on the bridge just in case Russian army, for them not to cross the bridge, just to make it like barricade. So this is my last memory of that bridge. And what I realize now when I'm telling this, that on that day, I didn't realize that I didn't prepare that. It's funny. On that day, exactly, I was late to get home for the international session organized by Antwerp. Before the one that was organized for Ukrainian community, there was one that was supposed to be a celebration of MBSR, but they canceled it and decided to talk about Ukraine because it was several weeks of it was unfolding, and I was invited to join, but I didn't know anybody, only Ukrainian people from the Ukrainian community, a couple of them, and I was late for this session. And in the end of the session, because they asked me to put the city where from, the country, probably they saw I wasn't going to speak, but I raised the hand just in case. maybe I will have thoughts. I was one of the last in the line, waiting. And, probably they were running out of time, and they picked up because they saw that I'm from Ukraine, from Kyiv, and they gave me opportunity to speak, and I spoke, and that's how John and I and Anne became connected. That's how we guys met. Yeah. And during the practice at the river, because it was so peaceful, I felt, for a moment, I felt with the word the bliss. I opened my eyes and this beautiful light, like in Bible, the rays of light from the cloud and the mirror on the water, and you guys all so calm. And it felt so good. And for a moment, I got caught up with that. Oh, that's what it's all about. And in 2 minutes, my feet hurt so much. And there was no sound. And the bugs bite me. It was a good reminder. And when we get home, also read all the news from Lviv. So surprisingly, Kyiv feels safe for this week or so. That's several days that you're here. And Lviv, which is usually much more safer, was under this horrible attack and people died. So this is painful and facing reality of this illusory peace outside. And the only peace I can find is the peace inside.
On the way back, we passed some people, and I was just continuing the practice, but I, at some point, look in the eyes of one woman, and her gaze was completely faded. She was having like gray, shining, but in gray color face, and it seemed that her eyes were not blinking. She was just staring somewhere inside. But it seems that she was deeply in some suffering, in some dream of suffering. And while walking by the city, being so peaceful and open with all my senses because of the session, I really see how fortunate we are that we could even pass this teaching and have this teaching how to practice with our mind, how to clear it, how to polish it, to, with this polished mind, reflect the word as it is, and in that way have the possibility to become the word, become everything that is standing in front of us. And I also think that this was very important to come here and make the session that is also connected with those workshops on MBSR. And you Walter and Vasily also being here symbolize all the people from Ukraine that will, in the nearest future, need the great support both from the spiritual and deeper practices like Zen practice, meditation practice, samadhi practice, and also these techniques that are available for everyone on every level that were in such a great scientific and organized way made by John Kabat-Zinn and mindfulness teachers. So it seems that these two paths will have and have to be the great support for the Ukrainian people. And also, coming here, I had a deep wish that with that announcement, with that session, and with that live streaming that is going right on now, we will get possibility to connect as many MBSR teachers and as many teachers of meditation from the West to support, give connection, give everything that we can to honor the bravery and to get rid and help Ukrainian people in their suffering that will stay in them after these horrible times.
Yeah, when I was at the river, yeah, there was some kind of contrast for me because I had images of the flood coming to my head. Just some people being in this flood. I have also images of the grain that was held in Ukrainian ports and was blocked from being shipped out. And there's been a lot of tensions about it. Stories unfolding about it. And there is these people, these fishermen who just fished and the bliss of the morning and just people going to work as usual. And the contrast between things that seem to be very extraordinary, very things you can think about. Your mind doesn't work, and just regular things. And although I spent here a couple of days, I think that I still don't feel this war because we've been pretty safe here, and it's still for me either like a tourist vacation, like almost like thing. And when I think about all of this, it seems like it's always so unnecessary, so completely unnecessary. Just one big misunderstanding, so completely unnecessary. I was worried about homeless people here because I saw some people on benches and they look like sleeping. We had some people here in the park sleeping. I suppose they were homeless or drunk. I don't know. And I don't know what are they doing, during the curfew. They have nowhere to go. And also, I was thinking, yeah, there's so many things like this you have to take care of during war. The life has changed so much. You can take photo of military things. There's this curfew. There's a lot of discipline. The whole life is reorganized. And at the same time, everything has to happen as usual. So people has to go to work. The production has to go. Kids has to go to kindergartens. Suppose people go to school, classes, everything. And how to do your job, how to work, when bombs are falling. And what you said, Vasily, about your friend, can you help me to understand this uncertainty you were talking about? It's not only the uncertainty of what about my future? Will I be able to travel? Will I be able to travel? What's about my career? Should I build something or not? Or go ahead? It's also uncertainty. Will I be alive in 10 minutes? The bomb can fall on my head anytime. A rocket in this case. So it's something like, just a roulette in some way that can be a target anytime. We don't have much time, so if someone wants to say something, it would be a good moment.
I'll just be short. I'll just another time say how grateful I feel for the courage you have. on different levels as just humans and as spiritual explorers. It feels so natural right now, and it feels crazy maybe to some of your friends. And as you said, someone didn't come. And these are two different worlds until you're in this circle, until you feel how natural it is. That it's one people, one mind. Until you get into this, it feels like it's not your problem, or there are more important things. Yet it's rare. What you did and what we're doing now still is very rare. I have a hope for humanity. Maybe I'm young still, and maybe because of that, I don't know. But I do hope the people who are into this exploration, by near their presence and communicating with others, can make it bring some interest to others, make it more interesting to others, make others more curious about it, without advertising. As you can see, we are not very good at advertising. And I found myself with years of practice, I want to talk less and less about it, especially to people who have no idea what it is. And the less I want to talk about it, the more I feel I need to learn to talk about it. From the different place. I'm still learning. I don't know how. Every time I share, it feels like I'm insincere in some ways, because I cannot really express until someone's here. All the words so I use some quotes that have been tested by time. So yeah, I hope we find a way more and more people get to experience what we are doing as natural, not as something extra, not as something you're looking for, reach into something, but something you learn from when you're a kid, and what becomes just human experience. That's what it is, I guess.
What should we offer the merit of this council to you?
I offer the merit of this council for the humanity of human beings.
Maybe let's sit a minute. Yes. Let's restore the Zen doll.